Welcome back, guys. Today is a good day and we want to look at introduction into Microsoft Access, or otherwise called database. Before we get into the meat of the matter, remember to like the page, subscribe and leave your comments below and we'll get back to you. Alright, so let us open Microsoft Access. Alright, so when you open Microsoft Access, we are going to look for a blank database. So you will select blank database. Where it says file name, you write the file name that you are working on. Alright, today we're just going to look at a practice exercise. So I'm going to write practice there. And then we click on the create button. We click create. So once you are open into Microsoft Access, you will get a preload table where you could just fill in your field names and your data. Right? So I'm going to run through a few things here. So you'll automatically get a default table. So the tables in Microsoft Access is where all data is stored. So to store data, you must first create them within a table. If you want to modify a table, you go to a section which we call design view. So here we would have design view, which is identified by the ruler and the pencil. So we click on it and we go to a section which we call design view. So let me explain something here. So it asks us to save this table. We can save it as table 1. Here you are given a ID with a key at the end. This key is your primary key. If you do not want to use this, you can use a primary key of your choice in the data. So what is a primary key? So a primary key is a unique field or field name that we use to identify a set of records. A primary key cannot contain empty space or null value. Right? So a primary key cannot also have duplicate records in there. So the primary key is a unique field that we use to identify records. So if you have a database where you have two persons having the same name, you want a field or some sort of data that is going to differentiate the two set of persons. So that is where the primary key comes in. You're looking for a record that is going to uniquely identify each person's or each record from the other one. Right? Alright, so let us look at some field name and data types. I'm going to write a field name, first name. I'm going to enter one more, cost, quantity. Alright, so the field name represents your column name, and you must assign what type of data would be stored. I am going to use text. Here we have a list of data types that you can use. You can use text, memo, number to represent. So the data type indicates what type of data would be stored under each field name. So I'm going to use text because the person's name would be based on text. Cost is going to be of a numerical value, so we can indicate the cost either by a number or we can identify with currency value. So we're going to use a currency value here. Quantity is a numerical value, so we use number. If you are working with date of birth or date or time, we can select, let me use date of birth here. You can select date or time, so you have a section here for date or time, and we go on. And then over to your right you have a description where you can give a brief description of each field name. Notice here also, if I select first name here, I have a field property section below which indicate the field size. The field size where it says 255, it tells you the amount of characters that can be represented under that field name. Now we know that person's first name don't have a field length of 255 characters, so we can reduce that field size to a reasonable number. I'm going to put 20 there. So we have to make sure that our database is efficient, so we don't want to waste space, so you change the field size there, and then we go on to check, etc. Now if you do not want ID to represent your field name, let us use, say I'm going to use an ID number, so I say ID number. So I'm going to use ID number as my primary key. You can right click beside the field name and select primary key, and it assigns. So whatever field you want to use, you right click beside of it and you assign the primary key. And if you want to delete, you can right click beside the field and you select delete row, and it deletes one. So any modification that you want on a table or any changes, you must go to design view and apply those changes, right? And you click save. So that's where you go to design a table. So you click close, and if I click on table 1, I will see my first name, cost, quantity, data, but coming as my column headings. I can now type in the record if I want. Quantity, and ID number, I could say GH43456, and then I could add another one again, and I could go on. And that's how you insert records inside of the table manually. So if I wanted to delete a record here, you could also right click. Let me finish this one here. And notice that comes up saying that I cannot leave my primary key to be an empty space, right? Alright, if I wanted to delete a records here, I could right click and say delete record. Now you can insert a new record. You can cut, copy, paste, right? So that's how you insert and create your table. Notice here at the toolbar section here at the top, we have create. So in database you can create queries. So notice first you have to create your table, because that's where you store all your data. All data is stored within a table. From table you can create your query using query design. You can create forms and you can create reports, right? So that's where you move from tables over into queries, or you can create forms and you can create reports, right? Under external data at the top, if you did not want it to type all of this information but you have it stored in an Excel file already, you can import that data. So under external data, where you say import, you can go to Excel, click on Excel, and it asks you here to browse for the file. You click browse and then you search for the Excel file you want to open, and then you click OK, and then you go to the section here which asks you for which sheet, and the sheet which contains whatever data You click next, and you say the first row contains a column heading. You click finish, and it will insert that table for you. Right, under database tools, we have a section which we call relationship. So relationship is what we use to join two tables together based on a common element within the table. So you can join two tables based on a common field, which indicates that the records in table 1 matches the record in table 2 by a primary key or a similar field. Right, so that is the basic part in Microsoft Excel. So you have to first create your tables, and you can import table if you want from Excel, and you can go to relationship after you create both tables to match. So at another time we'll look at how we create the table by importing them, and we look at relationship. So that's the basic part here. Thanks for watching.